Hey, what is up, everyone? This is Ete with another episode of Eco Law and Science. You may have recognized some new jams this morning. So I am also a songwriter, and I'm not here to self-promote, but I write tons of music, and not a whole lot of people hear it. So I thought, why not combine them? Plus, I don't have to pay royalties on anyone else's music. Just makes sense. So anyway, the song you've heard for the last 50-something episodes is called Young Child off of one of my solo albums. And then that one is an old school one from a band I'm in called the Atomic Square. The song is called Take Me. And you'll probably hear more of it at the outro, and maybe I'll use it for a few episodes and mix it up. Anyway, let's jump into lawn care. One of the things that I'm seeing that I want to get in before the summer kind of winds down, before we talk about aeration, seeding, power raking, all the things that are coming up in the next few episodes, is something I saw and I've watched and tracked throughout the season. And my team has done it as well, and they've kind of helped bring it to my attention. So in certain areas, for example, the Heber Midway area, it's very cheap. It's very inexpensive to run your irrigation. You could run it an hour a day, 2 hours a day, and it might cost you $60 a month. It's like a flat fee. You get in the Park City, parts of Salt Lake, it's a fortune. And then they're also in restriction because they don't have as much. They're in a drought. They have to pump it up, those type of things. And then you go up north and you hit like north of Ogden, and it's the same thing like Heber Midway. It's very cheap. And so what's happening is throughout the season, people are saying, hey, well, if watering my lawn's really important, then why not just triple my efforts? More of a good thing's got to be a better thing, right? And the answer is no, please don't do it. And we've seen this year just the damage that it does. And so what we're finding is areas that aren't unrestricted, they're just kind of just running it all day, every day. And they're causing some issues, and for us as a service company, but for the lawn as well. So I want to just take another minute or two to talk about that. So what happens is when you overwater your lawn, and many times this can be more dangerous than underwatering, because you can cause some long-term damage. You can do something called, you can drown the roots, and it's called root rot. Basically, you're suffocating those roots. They're not drying out. They're not getting the air, the oxygen that they need, and so they're suffocating. So you'll see that grass will literally can die out in those areas, and then you have to replant. So on the other side, if you just don't water enough, but you water some, your lawn will go dormant and it'll survive. On this one, you could actually kill it. You are suffocating your own lawn with something that you think is good. And that's and so I can see why people do it, because they're going, oh, my lawn could be greener. More water equals greener lawn. But that's not the case. Basically, the soil underneath your lawn is composed of sand and silt and clay particles, and also these porous spaces, these little gaps. And so when it rains, the water comes and it fills up those little spaces and it pushes out the air of those gaps. And that's a good thing for a limited time. But daily watering keeps those pores filled with water instead of oxygen. So it's not getting the air that you need, which is vital to plant growth. So without the oxygen, the roots of your grass will suffocate and die. And you'll have a very shallow root system, and that's that whole root rot that I was talking about. So do not do it. Lawns can only utilize so much water. They only need so much water. You can also, cause fungal issues. You can invite insects to come in and do their damage. And one thing we've really found this year is the weeds are crazy. So people in the Heber, and we've tracked it, their weeds were nonstop. People that were overwatering every month were having to show up, spray weeds, versus those areas, Park City and Salt Lake, not as bad. And so you're really feeding the weeds. And also on top of that, you're flushing out the fertilizer. So someone, whether you do a treatment yourself or someone comes and you overwater that, you're just flushing it through the system. So it's not being used. It's a runoff, so it's pollutant. But it's also, you have to fertilize more. And so you're in this weird, vicious cycle that doesn't make sense. So please just stop. So the big question is, well, what am I supposed to do? We've talked about that in past episodes, so you can go back and check the archives about how to water. I will say this, every lawn is different. It is not one size fits all. We can give guidelines and say, oh, maybe 1.5 inches a week in the heat of the summer months, but even then it doesn't matter. And here's a quick example. We were at a property and we tested with a moisture meter an area that was covered in shade, and it was off the charts. And then we tested an area 2 feet away that was full sun, no shade, and this area had the same exact amount of irrigation because it was on the same zone. It was 2 feet away, and it was bone dry using the meter. So here we are. They're both getting the same amount of water 2 feet away, but because of that shade, the one was utilizing and holding well, and the other one was flushing through. And so on that property, what I said to the homeowner is, you have to adjust your sprinklers. This is tricky because this is a one zone, so you're going to have to do something manual or get creative. But basically, you need to decrease the one under the shade and increase the one in the sun. And so that's how specific it can be. So this episode is more so about, please don't overwater. You're going to cause weeds. You're going to rot out your roots. You're going to have a shallow root system, fungal, insect issues. And if you want to talk more about what we can do to find the right watering, that's another episode. You can also hit me up via however you want to. We have a website now, ecolawnscience.com. We have a Facebook channel and a YouTube channel. It's just been launched, so you can find us that way. But any questions, if you need specifics, feel free. We'll help you out. Thank you, guys. I hope you have a great day. I'm going to send you out with a little more of that Take Me A song.